Babe, have you been noticing how the same lessons just keep showing up? Different people, same story. It's not bad luck, it's your shadow. And if you want to learn more about how to have your shadow work with you instead of against you, you're in luck. That is why I created Shadow Work Decoded, a 5-day guided journey to help you uncover the hidden patterns holding you back in love, work, and self-worth, and finally transform them from the inside out. Each day, you'll get short audios from me, journal prompts, and rituals that make deep healing easy and accessible. And dare I say, fun? Go to CosmicRX.com/shadowwork or tap the link in the show notes to start today. Because once you decode your shadow, you unlock your true, magnificent manifesting power.
We don't need to have our career, our family, our kind of mainstream, mundane, day-to-day stuff happening on one side, and then everything we do in the spirituality realm being relegated to those moments when we're on retreat, we're at the goddess circle, we're on ayahuasca or whatever. And instead using spiritual tools, spiritual frameworks, their original intent, which was everything.
Welcome to CosmicRX Radio, a podcast that gives you real-life tools of spiritual empowerment and pure hype. I'm your host and intuitive guide, Madi Murphy. I'll be serving up your weekly energy readings, cosmic boss interviews, and astro inspiration. Are you ready to love yourself more, manifest your dream life, and own your magic? Let's jump in. Hello, my baddies, and welcome to a very special episode. This is a little treat for you all. You know, I love treat culture. I am having on today a guest who is one of those people who articulates everything I feel so deeply in my soul, but my little Chiron and Gemini in the 12th house can't always find the words to articulate. She is a true ride or die. I've known her for years. She is a spiritual teacher. She's a somatic healer, but like, in a really cool, grounded way. She walks the motherfucking talk, and very excited for this conversation because it's something that's been really on my heart, on my soul. I mean, for years, but definitely right now as we kind of enter this next level of the birthing, the rebirthing, the deathing of basically all we know. This is a woman who I would ride to the gates of hell and back with, because I know that she would have all the tools. She's a badass, but she would also have a great playlist, lots of snacks, and we'd be giggling all the fucking way while we're burning it down. So with that, may I introduce to you who I know is going to be one of your new cosmic crushes, a true badass with a good heart, Amanda Baudier. Welcome to the pod. It's so good to have you here, my love.
Madi, thank you for having me, and thank you for seeing me as only a fellow baddie ratchet witch could. Others don't get it. They don't get it because they don't live it. You get it, you live it. You know, as they say,
you gotta get it. You gotta live it to get it. Really, like whenever I see you, I have chills because I'm like truly like giggling. I am like alive and like so tingly to talk to you because you are like I like could get emotional. But when I say game, recognize game, when I see you, it's like so healing to me because not only do I admire you so much, but it's so nice to have a fellow soul on the earth who like holds the multidimensionality of, I think, of a lot of what you and I are trying to embody and walk in this lifetime. Everything from entrepreneur, business, earth sign culture to like bringing, you know, spirituality into all of that, because we also were like, hey, it's more than just that. But then like, you know, motherhood, but also just being silly and joyful. And before I hand the mic over to you, I'm just going to open up. We did an event last month in New York City, and I always effing loved you. But I think a moment where I fell like even more in love with you is we get there an hour, you know, before the event, and we've done no like calls or prep for it, which is exactly how I do everything in life. And you were just like, yeah, so number one goal here is like, let's just be in our joy and let people know that it's okay for grown women to like have fun and be silly, and let's inspire people to have their own direct revelation and their own direct experience. with spirituality. We're not here to be their guru. We're not here to be some like gatekeeping pathway to this world. Let's go have fun. And I was like, if I could put a ring on your finger right now, like, Paul, your husband, watch out. Like, I am coming for your woman. I love her so much. So, with that being said, why don't you just, say hi? And I guess let everyone know your cosmic bio. I feel like that's a good grounding point. Your
Oh,
big
yeah.
three. Your big three before we jump in.
I'm a Capricorn sun. Oh, yes. A Virgo rising and an Aries moon. And I guess I'll also say my North Node is in Gemini in my 10th house. So I'm doing exactly what I'm supposed to be, yapping, just literally yapping. That is where I'm headed in this lifetime. So you're going to be real sick of me.
Honey,
Maybe not you.
as a fellow North Node and Gemini in my 12th house, I'm like, yes, literally our purpose here is to click, clack, connect, and like yap for the
Yeah.
revolution and
Yes.
evolution. So
Yes.
prepare to be
Yes.
sick of us.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, before we jump in, I did want to talk about like obviously two things. A little bit about what you're doing right now and you're like who you are. I know I gave you a bio. My bio is like always like so Pisces moon, my interpretation of like your auric field. So you let people know a little bit about like what you're embodying right now in your work. And then of course I do have to give you a few minutes to tell your story of how you got here because we love a non-linear journey in these
Well.
parts.
I can actually kind of combine the two because what I do in this world, what I'm up to is completely indicative of what I've been through and how I got here. So I was like somebody who experienced every type of self-inflicted punishment as a result of childhood trauma, epigenetic trauma, like the woman that you are experiencing today. She was not who I was moving through the world as in my younger
Mhm.
years. And so workaholism led me to the world of Ivy League college and nightlife, hospitality career in New York City. I worked myself so hard that I had heart surgery at the age of 28, which led to the first kind of burst of my spiritual awakening. I had burnout before it was cool, before, before everyone was talking about it. I was like already like an executive at the age of 28. I have an Ivy League degree. How do I not know what a nervous system is? Not only that, I was a yoga teacher already. So, there's a lot of things that are a little misaligned there. So that year after my heart surgery, I did a deep dive on everything I could possibly get my hands on as it related to the nervous system, as it related to trauma. And this is an ongoing obsession. I mean, I am still deep in my study as much as I've moved out into the world as a teacher, coach, and healer. I moved into the wellness industry as an executive at a couple of companies where I learned the good, the bad, and the ugly of the wellness industry as we know it today.
Yeah.
And really, it was a little bit of like, hey, I think I could do something different. I think I could do something more truthful. Not saying better, right? But I think I can do something with more integrity, with more
Mm,
honesty, with less marketing pizzazz that will actually serve people on
yes.
this journey of healing and wellness and becoming, as I call it, than what a lot of these other brands, businesses, et cetera, in the healing, wellness, and spirituality kind of realm were doing. And I work both as a one-on-one coach for entrepreneurs now, kind of weaving everything I've gone through in the business world with all of the personal trauma healing and development that I've done. And I'm also launching a spiritual community called Becoming with a lowercase b that actually goes live this January. And the inspiration for that is really what you said, I said before the event. It is so important to me that people come to an understanding of spirituality from a personally embodied place. This is your experience. This is your path. There are guides, there are teachers, there are way showers. But when you start to give your power away to a guru, to a teacher who wants you to feel subservient to them, a follower of theirs, right?
Yes.
You are inherently diverting from your growth.
Yeah.
And I don't see a lot of that kind of autonomy first language in the spiritual world. So I was like, fuck it. It doesn't exist. I'm going to create
Yeah.
it. And so that's where we are. But it is literally everything that I teach is something that I got hit with a brick on. Like there is nothing I teach that I haven't been through, from addiction to eating disorder, low self-worth. I mean, you name it, not everything, but So everything I teach comes with an enthusiasm that I think is indicative of how much I suffered to get where I am today.
Ooh, and that's unbecoming, and that's on just like alchemy too.
Woo!
Yeah, taking the lead and doing, the work and all the ways we can say that word and really like spinning it into gold and now sharing it with people, right? And I think that you and I, we have like different paths, but there's always like the very strong parallels. And one of them is that we both are like, I don't know what, like wellness industry
Yeah.
like ex-community,
Traders.
I would say traders. I was just gonna say, like, I'm like, a little heretic trader rebels of like
Yeah.
misfits, like the
Yeah.
same thing similar to you. And I think a lot of people listening are experiencing this right now. You get into, okay, like I want to help people. So you're like, okay, I want to shift into a wellness industry. That makes sense. And then you realize, especially, I know you and I, we're doing very based out of New York City. And I quickly realized that like, oh, all the people from fashion, from finance, just kind of migrated into the wellness industry without checking any of the baggage, without clearing any of the shit. And so now I'm like, oh, now we're just in the same toxic patterns that I experience in other industries, but there's like a pretty label, neutral toned studios, some like powdery supplements involved, and like it's still toxic. And I think you and I have a similar, I remember having like a really direct revelation around 2016, 2017. I actually got called out in my coffee shop. I was like, I want to do some things to support the community. I should do some free events here or free that or free this to help people. And one of my amazing neighbors, a woman of color, was like, there's already people doing that. Like, why don't you just support them and doing that? And like, are you doing this because like you want to like perform helping the
Mhm.
community or do you want to actually help? And it was just one of those moments that just like one of those conversations that took me into such a place of deep reflection. And I was like, oh yeah, like I don't really need to be this thing of like, I want to be a leader, but a heart centered leader who's leading in like a
Yeah.
non-hierarchical in a circle, right? Like not like I'm a
Yeah.
savior, let me help everyone, let me do this.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I want to be that support and I really want to be what I like to call like I want to democratize magic. I want to make it as accessible as possible, but without having to be about myself. And it's taken me a long time to come up with the language around this. This wasn't like a quick little like marketing ploy or play. And so when I see your work and I hear your journey, I see so many like parallels of my own life in it and a lot of people I work with now and people who come, looking for guidance at this point in their life. And it's like accelerating right now, right? Like everything you just said, like you said, burnout before it was cool. Now everyone's there, or everyone's at the like juncture point. Even they've gone to the spiritual things, they've done the self care, they've done certain
Yeah.
things, and they're still like, why does this not? Maybe why am I not feeling differently, right? Or
I'll tell you,
so yes, tell us why.
it's a bold thing to say, but because you have outsourced your access to the things that make you feel better to other people. Okay.
Mm,
When you need
yeah,
another person to help you access the state of being that is whatever the opposite of burnout, ease, contentment, et cetera, it is always going to be a fix. And I used to snort coke and drink a lot, so I know what it's like to want your fix, right? And
yeah,
when I started my spiritual journey, it was very much that. I need to go get my
hmm,
fix. Oh, I need to do this. I need to do that. And, my work is like, I don't want to give you a fish, a fix, a fish, really a fish. I want to teach you to fish. And so when you realize all of the good, so I had someone say to me yesterday, I love being around you because your energy rubs off on me. And I said, honey, it's not
mm,
my energy. That's spirit. I take no credit for those good vibes. That is me creating space in my container for spirit to flow through me. So if you're feeling something, it is not Amanda. That is the divine spark of life that is within you. So if you clear space, if you make room, guess what? That's your energy to mine. None of this belongs to any of us. And I think that's why you said, oh, when I read your words, I resonate with it. Well, yeah, because truth is truth, right?
yeah,
There are so many, and I won't say so many, but there are probably dozens of women I follow online or authors I read where I'm like, I've had this exact thought. which means this is divine truth, right? It's not of me. It's not of you. You've articulated it beautifully, but those things that resonate so deeply, you're not resonating with the
Yes.
teacher or the influencer. You're resonating with God, right? So get your direct revelation, direct access to God, and you don't need nobody else, myself included.
I love that. It's open source, open, and
Correct.
like, and I think
Open
that's
source.
right. And that's like, oh, I'm so curious. So you're Virgo rising. So do you know your third house? Is your third house ruled by Scorpio?
I don't know, but I could pull up my co-star right quick.
Okay, pull up something. I can also do your birth chart offline, but
Yeah.
something you're saying. I knew this conversation was going to spark so many interesting things in my brain that I wasn't prepared to. Like, I'm like, oh,
Third house, is it? I can't tell if it's Sagittarius or Scorpio.
it's
I
probably
can't.
a mix. If you're a Virgo rising, that means your Virgo is going to be like possibly 12th first house, and second house would be like Libra, maybe Libra, Scorpio, and then third house would be Scorpio and or Sag, and possibly a combination based on like the Placida system that I use. Um,
Okay.
the reason I ask this, and I think this is actually a cool and a kind of segue into the next thing that I wanted to bring up with you, but the third house in astrology is a very important house actually for all of us to understand right now because it's a house of our communication, our mindset, our words, which is like everything how we process the outside world. It also rules things like our local community and our neighborhood, and everything right now is like bring it back down to like corner shop
Mm.
energy. Like, who are your people physically that you're
Yes.
seeing every day? What's the company you're keeping? But when you just were talking, I was reminded of being at a lecture, and I talk about this in my classes, but I haven't thought about it personally in a while, which is funny. But your third house is opposite of your ninth house. So, ninth house in astrology rules a lot of things, and one of them is organized religion and institutions of higher learning that are a little bit more like elite, if you will, like harder to get to. Whereas the third house is the house of the goddess, is the house of direct revelation, is the
Mm.
house of like earth-based spirituality, more feminine spirituality, in that like I don't need an intercessor, I don't need a priest to talk to God. I am God. This tree is God. I am sitting in a circle and I am experiencing that, that spirit, that divine energy. So I was like, oh, if you have Scorpio side there, it makes sense that you're really here to transmute, to teach us that through your words, through your writing. And I should have had your chart in front of me before this because now I'm like, everything you're saying, I'm just so curious on. But I just wanted to point that out, that it's a beautiful manifestation of your work, but also this reminder that like it's in our chart. So everyone has a need, a calling to do that. But for many reasons, we have been pulled away for that for thousands, 2000 years, basically. Cause it's like, there's no power. There ain't no profit in like teaching people. You don't need anything besides.
Right. Literally. I mean, people, I was having a conversation with, I don't know if you know Liz Moody, but she has a big
Mhm.
podcast. She's a really good friend of my best friend. And I was explaining her to the concept of what I'm doing. And she was like, wow. She's like, if more people like were teaching in this way, right? Like the whole like high ticket spiritual thing, like, yeah, it would go away because we don't need like chat GPT of spirituality in our back pocket all day. Like that is not
Mm-mm.
empowering. It's like I read this article recently about how chat GPT is creating like cognitive decline basically because you're like, I
Yeah.
don't need to synthesize information for myself. I don't need to codify things. I can just put it into the computer and it tells me how to say it. Okay, spirituality is similar in that, sure, you can outsource it, but then it's not actually your original understanding of how this resonates for you. So it's never going to hit because
Yeah.
when it hits, I mean,
Oh,
this is what like for, since the dawn of humanity, people have been writing about spiritual awakening because it's fucking amazing.
that's what I always say. I'm like, oh, you think, or you read these sacred texts or whatever it is, like teachings, poetry. And this is also a very actually like Sagittarian concept. And I actually talk about it in my book because I want everyone to walk the path of this experience, embodiment, and like you said, direct revelation,
Mhm.
experiential knowledge, because that's is why the text will keep being written for thousands of years, because you can write something as simple as like, it's all going to be okay. Like, right. Like all is well with my soul, like a
Mhm.
very simple quote. You're like,
Yeah.
cool, that's really nice. And you put it up on your, on your memo board, you put it on a Pinterest board, you share, retweet, great. And then all of a sudden, one day, like after opening the channel, after trusting, being broken down, built back up, you have like changes the brain chemistry, changes on the cellular level. You're like, oh no, okay, it is actually like all is well, right? Or whatever the quote is. And that's what I think is so cool about. And then that to me is the experience of versus like putting the mask on or like trying to perform or pretend or outsource this versus being like, oh my God, I am a holy, wild, and divine channel for this, like you said, for spirit. And then when that happens, it's like, I'm sorry, even when life is hard, it's so fun. And you become so unfuckwithable because you're just tethered, you're anchored, and you're this like channel for something that is it's spirit. It keeps you inspired, it keeps you in spirit. And that's where I'm
Yeah.
like, no, no, it's great. Like, read the stuff, go to the people, go to the retreat. But like, that's just stuff to get you.
It's a free sample.
It's a free sample, right? It's trying it on for size. It's like, okay, this is cool. But, I want to talk about, you wrote an amazing article on Substack called Taking Back Spirituality, which I love because I felt so Taking Back Sunday from my emo high school youth. And this essay really hit a nerve with me because I am not an essay girly. Maybe I will be one day. I love like long form talking and I have a podcast. So when I read someone who writes exactly what my spirit is plugged into, like we're tuned into the same frequency, the radio station, everything you said, I was like, yes, 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 yes. So in this, you talk about feeling frustrated, watching spirituality get commodified online, something we've like touched on here. And it's like, everything has a shadow and a light. Like, I'm so happy people are awakening. I'm so happy we're having different conversations. I'm so happy that people are quote unquote busting out of the matrix. Cause that is true, even though
Yeah.
like, it's like sometimes people online have co-opted these terms, but it's very real. And it's something I've been very excited to watch and witness. But like anything in life, when then humans get involved, you're like, amazing, amazing. Oh, wait, wait, wait. Oh, now it's gotten weird again. Now we're
Yeah.
going back. I think it's so important, when we can label something, we can really like name it, we can claim it, we can digest it. And so you really talked about this moment of like needing more integrated spirituality,
Mhm.
a concept, a phrase I really loved. And I'm going to recommend everyone, and we can link in the show notes to go check out this whole Substack article. But I want to know, how did just finding this language, how did like writing this article, like how did this sort of come about, and also maybe like, even like shift your work in the present moment a little bit too?
Yeah, I think initially, so as I mentioned, I coach entrepreneurs and I tend to attract the entrepreneurs who are going through a dark night of the soul because launching and running a startup is so hard. And they realize that they need spiritual tools. They realize that they need nervous system and somatic tools in addition to the strategy and the business wisdom, which I also, can provide. So I'm a one, two, I'm a Capricorn. Come on, you're gonna get ROI. Let's be real. Um, but in my work I do with founders, like in one session, we will go from, okay, we're building out your OKR chart with all of your KPIs and all this stuff. And then I'm talking to them about how to like write a spell or create a
Mhm.
salt circle
Yeah.
around their computer to protect their energy. And I will sometimes just be chuckling, like, this is so wild. Like, this is how everyone should be living their life. Like,
100%.
we don't need to have our career, our family, our kind of mainstream mundane day-to-day stuff happening on one side, and then everything we do in the spirituality realm being relegated to those moments when we're on retreat, we're at the goddess circle, we're on ayahuasca or whatever. And instead using spiritual tools, spiritual frameworks, their original intent, which was everything, right? I wrote an older Substack that was called Your Grandmother Probably Talked to God and You Should Too. And this
Mm.
is where like organized religion kind of muddies the water because, my grandma was a Catholic. People are like, oh yeah, but I don't ascribe to what she ascribed to. Okay, well, back in the olden days, right? Ancestors, everything was a ritual. Everything was a prayer because they were so reliant on nature and, what they would consider fate or luck or God's providence, right?
Mhm.
Now, we think we've got all this shit figured out, right? We think it's about
Mhm.
technology and strategy and 5 easy tips to do, and I can just TikTok and find the answer.
Yeah.
Then you get to a point where you're like, oh, TikTok doesn't have the answer. ChatGPT doesn't have the answer. And you need to go within and bring those spiritual tools into your, hey, my kid is really, really sick and I'm worried. Maybe
Mm.
I need to start praying again.
Ooh, maybe ChatGPT. Ooh, maybe the tech bro didn't figure out an app for this yet.
Right. Correct. And so for me, I had played around with different ways of kind of languaging this, but in naming it integrated spirituality, it's so simple. It's so clear and it doesn't create any unnecessary like fanciness. Like you're not going to pop a TM after that baby. Like I want it to be so clear that this is not some type of novel concept. It's not something I'm packaging into a high ticket course. It is integrating
Yeah.
spirituality into your day-to-day life to make you a better human being and a happier human being. And like
Mhm.
my thing is, I don't do a lot of the like alien stuff, plant medicine stuff. Like that's not my game. I have no problem with it if you are also taking that spiritual wisdom and becoming the type of human that someone would say, oh, yeah, they clearly are rooted in spirit because they're kind, they're
Mhm.
generous, they're inclusive, they're vocal about suffering, right? If the only time you act spiritual is when you are on drugs with your rich friends in Burning Man, that is not a spiritual path.
Ooh.
That is just another way to get high, right? Like, and we see
Mhm.
this. So talk to the aliens, but also do your work on this planet. And then I have no
Right.
problem, right?
Also, like, be nice to your
Yeah,
servers
being that.
and be like, like
Yes.
I had a very funny moment. We're both again like
Mhm.
New York babes, so we've seen it all.
See it
And
all.
I have a lot of friends in service industry, and I had one of my first moments of realizing that the conversation you're having needed to be had. I was like, famous spiritual teacher, coming to Montauk, abundance person, all this stuff, and shitty tipper,
Mhm.
bad to servers. And I remember going online that day and being like, do not call yourself a spiritual teacher, even a spiritual person,
Correct.
if you are not making eye contact with the person, like literally serving you, making you a nice meal, and also like tipping is a spiritual practice. So what, and I remember that was in like 2018, 2019. And it was one of my first like fire in my belly moments of like, oh, this is not like people are performing like
Correct.
the hats and the long cloaks and being on stage and the meditation. And I'm like, oh, but you're being a shitty person.
Correct.
And again, that pisses me off, but it also shows me that you're not at peace with yourself. Like you're not, because
Yeah.
I think, listen, I had bad days, but like I am filled with spirit to
Yeah.
the point that I'm like, fuck yeah, like you're a human, I'm a human. Like this is so crazy that we're being a human experience. And I have my shadows, I have my triggers, but no,
Yeah.
bad tipping.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you punch me in the fucking face, I'm leaving you 25%.
Well,
That's if you punch me in the
yeah.
face.
It's so funny. So I for the first time ever, I just hired someone to help with social media marketing. And she asked like, she asked a question like, well, what has been a marketing tool that you used in the past? And because I'm crazy, I literally wrote being like a high integrity human being in business for 25 years. That was my marketing strategy.
Literally.
Like people are like, oh, how did you get clients? Because I have been who I say I am, even when I was bad.
Mm,
Even when I was bad to
yeah.
myself, let's be real. I have clients who were my interns when I was in my 20s working in nightlife. I have clients who were my clients when I was throwing celebrity parties because I have always walked with integrity. Does that mean I'm perfect? No. But I actually have, and this is where I think like my Catholicism maybe was kind of a good thing. If I hurt someone in any way, even a microaggression, I will feel badly about it because I know that they're me and I care about their
Yeah.
happiness and their joy, right? If you're an asshole, I can clap, but if I unintentionally or intentionally harm someone, I would not be walking away feeling good about myself. And that's been my marketing strategy, point blank, because I'm not that good at that.
Mm.
But yeah.
I love that. I love that. And I love that, again, you are such an embodiment of the Capricorn key in my book, which is like all about, I want to live a life that like leaves a legacy I'm proud of, not on paper, not on the resume, but like the soul resume, right? The eulogy level shit, the shit that's like,
Mhm.
what is my impact when I'm gone? And that is, I say in the Capricorn energy, it is rooted in one word, and that is integrity. right? Like integrity. And so I love that you model that so well. And I'm so relatable. Like when I first hired my first consultant like 2 years ago, she's like, "Where's your website?" I'm like, "I'm booked. I have no room for anyone else." She's like, "Where's your website? I can't find anything about you on the internet." I'm like, it's just like you said, which is also, I think, a beautiful relief and a release that there is something we'll talk about. Like there's so much changing in the world right now. And I've been saying it for years. I'm like, social media and all these things, just look at them as like an outlet for play, a manifestation cord to the universe, an ability to connect people in a way you couldn't,
Mhm.
20 years ago, 30 years ago. But don't take it that seriously because the plug could all get pulled and it will.
Yeah.
Social media is dying. Like the concept as we know it is dying. And what's going to matter at the end of the day, way more than followers or a curated feed or perfectly packaged offers, is something you've modeled really well. And you've built a very like beautiful life from that. So I just want to also, and I work with a lot of entrepreneurs too and people who want to be, and the first thing is always like the website, the social media,
Yeah.
like it's not perfect, it's not ready. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I get it. But like, that's just like a pretty little like
Yeah.
frosting on
Yeah.
the cake is something different, honey. Like the cake is way different, right?
Yeah. And you know this, but having had access to really on paper or on the internet successful people since I
Mm-hmm.
was a baby, right? I was planning celebrity parties when I was like 20 years old. You realize it's like that Jim Carrey quote about how he hopes everybody gets like all their money that they want so that they can realize that it's actually not going to be the thing that makes them happy. And, I got to see that firsthand working in nightlife. I'm like, why is this Oscar winner and this Grammy winner and this CEO like doing coke with cocktail waitresses at 4 in the morning? Like, even at 21, I was like, this doesn't seem like they made it. This doesn't seem like they're happy. I'm like,
I'm laughing. It's so
but it's
relatable. You're like,
real. It is. And I got out of that world when I was much younger, but like people I knew back then, they're still in it. And I'm like, honey, this is not success. This is not happiness.
yeah,
This is not making it.
yeah,
This is wishing that the medicine that you've acquired was actually the right one for your soul and trying to take more and more and more and more. But it ain't it. It's just not, So if having a great social media feed literally made people happy, I would help people do that. That would be what I did for work, right?
yeah.
I can't fuck around with like half-ass solutions. I always tell people this when they hire me to coach them. I'm like, if you hire me to coach you to do something that I can tell your soul doesn't want to do, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm not going to help you build a
Mm-mm.
business that you hate. I'm just not. Like, you could hire someone else to do that. I'm not going to front and be like, yeah, great, let's build this. No, like life is short.
Girl, you embody your cosmic zone and your big three so well. And like, I think I just want for everyone, like what I feel in your energy. It's just, you're just so anchored in like yourself and in spirit and in your purpose beyond the label, beyond like the neat and tidy boxes. And you also are always giving yourself room to be in that space of becoming, which is so important because even now, like I'm always gonna be me, but like my message, my medicine might evolve over the next few years as we're all going through.
Mhm.
Like, and I'm also always down just to fucking get weird with it and play, right? Like sometimes I'm like, okay, like this is what I'm feeling called to talk about and do next. Like let's do it. Let's go. And I think for you and your work, I mean, you talk so much. Again, everyone just go read and devour everything that Amanda creates. But you talk about one of the quotes I did write. I took some Virgo notes because I was like, there's so much I want to bring up. You said integrated spirituality is about codifying your values and infusing them into every part of your life. And as the time of this recording, there's a lot happening in the world. And everyone who's listening has listened to me talk ad nauseum since like 2020 that we are like not going back the way we came. Like I just don't know how to put that in any better words. There's a million ways I could break that down, but we are literally entering a new world and we need to all be builders in that. And I think about the astrology always helps me find the language for what's happening. And I'm like, the breaking it down has already happened. It's going to continue to happen, but that's like, it's like the detonation has gone off.
Yeah.
And what I need people to think about right now is like the joyful reimagining,
Hmm.
not just what's shitty, what's not
Yeah.
working, what's happening next. And I think about Uranus gestationed retrograde into Taurus for the last time in a lot of our lifetimes. It won't happen again for 84 years. And this is giving us a few months right now and started in 2018, a few last months in this energy Uranus is the radical innovator, queer planet of liberation, flipping tables, fuck the status quo. But in the sign of Taurus, it's actually love, stability, and security.
Mm.
But Taurus is rooted in building, and Taurus is rooted in nature and beauty. And Taurus really connects us to our values. So many activists, famous activists, were Taurus or heavy Taurus placements
Mhm.
because Taurus teaches us to stand our ground
Yeah.
in a very sacred way.
Yeah.
So when you had that quote, I was like, fuck yeah, because it's not just not just a nice, happy quote.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is one of the prescriptions for, I think, collective revolution and personal evolution that's really needed right now.
Yeah.
So for you, tell us a little more about this. Like, what does this look like in real day-to-day talk?
Yeah. So I'll say two things. One is this sounds very altruistic, and it is. However, it will also make you happier more consistently. There is a book by Martha Beck called The Way of Integrity. And it talks about, is she a Virgo? She seems like a Virgo. I don't know if she is, but
I think I looked up, but she has been earth sign.
okay.
Something I read her book, I was like, earth sign.
So and this is also a nervous system thing, right? When we are living any type of lie, right? Small lie, big lie, hang out with people we know don't align with our values, pretending to be someone we're not, we are utilizing a portion of our life force energy to maintain the lie, right? It's like when you have to go to work and put on a mask every day, you come home exhausted. And so it feels like, oh, being in integrity and living in my values, that makes me a good person. It makes me a good citizen. But it also brings so much ease and contentment to our system because we are not working so hard to pretend or lie or participate in falsehoods. And so it actually brings a lot of the relief that we're looking for. So it is a win-win. So that is the first thing I'll say. The other thing is, the core focus of my work is about empowerment, right? And the best way to feel empowered is to be in choice of how you show up in every circumstance and every moment. And when a lot of us feel lacking, less than, not good enough, it's because we are outsourcing our power to other people and letting the values of the groups we sign up for or the companies we work for, or even the friend groups dictate our behavior. And I am the first one to say, like, if I'm not feeling it, I will not participate. I will raise my hand and say no. Like I've flipped some tables. I also do it in a very, like, I'm not a fighter, but I will tell you the truth, which sometimes feels like an attack. And this is how we build our container and become powerful people in the world. And you can be an introvert and be powerful. You can be quiet and be powerful, right? This is not about being like bombastic. It is about knowing that, hey, I will never give away my power. I will never move in a way that makes me feel icky just because others are doing that. And, this kind of goes into what we were talking about earlier about speaking up politically and being politically active. I'm not a political expert. I've never been an activist. However, I am not going to have people wondering, what does this lady really stand for? Is she somebody that I should feel safe-ish with? Like, who is she aligning with in this moment? No, I'm going to say it. And I really do not care what that creates for my life or my business. I'm fine. Like, it is the most empowering choice you can make in this lifetime is to be a stand for your values, point blank. Like, boom.
Oh, hell fucking yeah. Just like, circle, highlight, gold star, everything you just said. And, I see everything through the lens of astrology. I think it just helps me like ground my overactive brain in an intuitive,
I'm learning so much.
wild
I took down
sphere.
astrology notes here.
Okay. Yeah. So this is also, so when I talked about, Taurus, the reason Taurus roots us so much to this is because it's ruled by Venus. It's an earth sign and it's fixed. Like Taurus is like, nope, like locking in, which is important. I'm very mutable. So my whole first 30, 35 years of my life was like, what makes you happy? That makes me happy if it makes you happy. And a lot of beautiful things came out of that. Like I was a very empathetic, generous person. And I did have morals and values that I stood by when like shit hit the fan. Like someone telling me like, don't use organic products in your stuff. And I was like, that's not cool. But on the day to day, sometimes I'd be like, I don't know. I don't want to make someone uncomfortable, or I don't know what I stand for, or there's two sides to every story. when I locked in 2018 with Uranus going to Taurus, I started to lock in, like click, 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 like these, nope, 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 nope. Like, so that was important. But for everyone, what you're talking about is something that I teach and preach again till I'm fucking blue in the face, is that go to your Venus sign, learn about your Venus sign, the sign it's in, the house it's in, aspects it's making. Your Venus is your value system.
Ooh.
Venus is magnetism, it's beauty, it's love, it's money, it's feeling fucking charismatic, magnetic. But that's because the first thing you do with your Venus sign is what is important to you?
Mm.
What do you value? When you know what that is, you know what lights you up, you know your yeses, your nos, and that shit makes you, like you said, have a life that's like you're standing for something, but it's also more easeful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's you could trust it more. You also know how to
Yeah.
like turn on that mojo again. So
Yeah.
it's I think a lot of what you and I, a common denominator we have when we talk about, you know, your term integrated spirituality, we talk about kind of standing for more than just, you know, crystals and a drum circle. It's like, what are we doing with this in the collective right now? Is that like, I think you and I agree with like, yes, do something that's altruistic and we need to weave something into this moment in time. And also like, I, for one, want my freaking grandchildren and great grandchildren to be like, she did that.
Yeah.
Like she like stood on business. That is very important to me. And that's that Capricorn, I'm going to cry, that legacy thing. Like that, and I think Capricorn always gets me emotional. Like some days I'm like, oh God, I'm tired. I'm like, I don't, this is so much. Right.
Yeah.
Then I think about like, no, I want to like leave something right better in the world than I found it. And so, but also I'm selfish in the way of like, I also want to enjoy my life. And I have been like something, it's weird to say, the world is burning down, the world is falling down. And there's so much like suffering and pain. And I feel all that, but I also feel really excited for where we're going. And personally, you posted something because my life has never been better because I've been doing this work and staying true to it for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I felt crazy in certain moments. I felt like I was having like the psychosis. People are looking at me like, what's wrong with her? But now, like you said, it's altruistic, but it's also for you because you're also allowed to enjoy your life.
Totally.
Like,
So I think I'm the happiest person I know, like point blank, you know? And something I want to say, because I know that there are powerful witches that listen to this podcast, is if you are in a place where you are powerful, you are listened to, you are respected, and you are to some degree resourced, sure, I could have built a girl boss empire, like point blank. I could have, you know, I could have been those eight-figure boss baby, whatever, blah, blah,
you
blah.
definitely.
Instead, I want to yap about Palestine and SNAP benefits and right? Because God did not give me all of this power just so I could like, I don't know, like buy purses and like make people feel bad about themselves on the internet. I do not think that that is why God would give me these gifts, right? Like it was for something more. And the other thing I want to say is you mentioned exhaustion. One of the reasons why I couple nervous system work in with everything that I do is because when we are in survival mode, we are unable to access the part of our brain that creates compassion, right? And so like you just had 2 babies in 2 years, like, whoa, you know, like there's a lot of drain on your system. And of course, a lot of people are much more in survival mode than you and I, right? To the nth degree. And so getting ourselves out of a perceived state of survival mode, right? Those of us who are in survival mode because we're scrolling too much, not because, you know, we're actually oppressed or we live in a war zone. Like we owe it to the world. We owe it to ourselves, but we owe it to the world to not be in such a state of manufactured survival mode, for lack of a better term, that we can't be advocates, that we can't show up, right? So like sometimes you got to put the phone away and go like call a congressman or go to your local food bank or whatever. And like, yeah, we literally cannot keep going the way we're going.
We literally cannot. And that's so well said. And you are so like your humanity first embodied compassion approach to, you know, part of your integrated spirituality. And to me, this is why I said I'll go to the ends of fucking the earth and back with you, because we speak the same language. We see the world very similarly. Everything you just said is resonating. And I know in addition to becoming, in addition to your Substack, I also want to invite people, like this is a good lead into, we are going to be doing a workshop on November 23rd for people in the tri-state area. This is like a shameless plug. And you all know I never shamelessly plug really anything, but this I'm very passionate about. we're doing a workshop on November 23rd in Brooklyn called Rituals for the Revolution, subtitle Going Feral Against Fascism. For the astrologers, witches, and mystics, and just people who are heart centered, right, to unite. And why I'm really passionate about this, and a lot of people listening aren't in the New York area, they might have to come for whatever reason. Don't get me started on airline travel right now. But like, there is something here that a takeaway, and maybe we'll be able to do this again in another capacity, that like both is needed right now, right? Like, we need sacred action.
Yeah.
We need like getting out of our phone screen life, even just our own little myopic bubble of ourselves. And we also need like, this hit me years ago when I started getting involved in activism very lightly. I saw all the activists around me were amazing people, but they were very, very burnt out. And they were like, it was almost like a dry, like they had been wrung dry because they're just seeing this stuff all day, every day. And it takes so much collective power and to do any kind of change. And so they're getting very like rigid, very burnt out, very calloused. And then I saw the spiritual community that I was also starting to embark on more deeply, just in like
La La Land. Yeah. Floating
like
on
in true La La Land.
Totally. We need to be right then.
And I was, and in the middle, and you're someone who really does that. So as we wrap up here, just in your mind, like, you balance everything you're talking, the practical and the magical, so well. So what is one thing in particular that you're excited for in this workshop or in this topic of kind of like spirituality, activism coming together and creating what we're calling like rituals for the revolution?
What I am most excited about is to allow people to see that none of this is beyond your level of awareness. It's not beyond your capacity. We are talking about simple, consistent actions that you can do to resource yourself and then take that resourcedness and bring it out into the world in ways that make the world better, right? This is not about like becoming a full-time activist or, going to the ends of the earth. This is about taking that frustration that you feel, that rage that you feel, that hopelessness that you feel. You already feel it, right? Well, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to drink it away? Are you going to ice cream it away? Are you going to numb it away? Or do you want to take it and alchemize it, right, into usefulness? And your usefulness might be, I'm a teacher and I teach those babies with love and care. Okay, great. That's your revolution, right?
Yes.
Everyone has a part in this revolution, and the part that you play is going to feel good for you because otherwise it's not your part. My part is to yap. I could do this all day. Like, clear your calendar, Maddie. Like, we can talk about 5 p.m.
You and I really could.
Really, right? There are other actions within the revolutionary capacity that, like, you don't want Amanda doing, right? Like, you don't want me making posters. My chicken scratch would not be good, right? But like, everybody has a role to play. And what I want people to understand is it is going to feel better and be easier than you're feeling right now because you're already suffering.
Yes.
We're not giving you another thing to do. We're going to replace useless suffering with productive forward motion that you can feel good about and empowered by.
Empower, baby. Like, I am power. You are power. If we weren't so powerful, why the F you think we'd be working so hard to make us remember it and disconnect from it and outsource it and numb ourselves and shop it away and out like So well said. Amen. A whole sermon. And just to bring it back to what we said at the beginning, this is new. Okay, Pluto and Aquarius, back to astrology. It's so much new. It's innovation. It's tech. It's plutocracy. It's autocracy. It's technocrats. It's broligarchs. It's revolution. It's so many things. But one thing it is literally the futuristic technology of ancient wisdom, like integrating. And so much of what we're returning to now has to be things that are ancient, that we're not reinventing a wheel. And when you said, like, I got really choked up when you're like, your grandmother talked to God, right? And like, we've talked about like leaving things on the altar. You talked about it in your article. We talked about it in our workshop, like, especially if something happens with our children or our family, like leaving that on the altar is one of the biggest gifts I have as a mother, because so much is, right, your children are your hearts outside of your body. So you have to have a moment of like, and I think about my mother, our family, we had a lot of like trauma and things, but we always like a Mr. Magoo, like just kind of like, oh, something really traumatic happened, but we sort of like, we're okay by all intents and purposes. Like, and my mom said that when she was really changed after a dream that she had where she saw her mother, my grandmother, Helen, like a beam of light around her house growing up. And she realized, she was like, oh my God, my mother's prayers. And she was very Catholic, but also knew just the power of like, she prayed and prayed, did all of her rituals and things that now I'm like, yeah, it's very witchy to hear about them, the salt and the rosaries and certain things. And she just prayed like constantly. And my mom did the same thing. She prayed for all of our partners when we were born. She prayed for our lives. And I was like, wow, like that talking to God and that direct connection and remembering, especially as heart-centered, like the lovers of the world, like there is so much power in that, right? And there's so much, and it's there, it's available to us.
Yeah.
And there is like, it is the technology of the future. Like, I'm like, it's just remembering that.
Prayer is a revolutionary act, right? And we have we can say that is not true, but then we limit our capacity to be change agents in the world. Like, we can't be cynical. We can't be cynical.
We can't be cynical. We can't. All of this air is teaching us about the power of our collective consciousness in our actions, in our thoughts, but in our prayers, in our visualizations, in our meditations. And what I'll lead people on is that it's for the collective, but it's also for you. Like it can all be happening at once, this like positive change. And you really left me even with a lot of like another good, because I'm there. I doom scroll, baby. I doom scroll the best of them sometimes. I'm like, I can't sleep. Should I meditate, read a book, or just hold all the world's most horrible stories on a bright screen 6 inches from my face? So, it's natural, but it's like then like coming back, right? Like being aware of that, like that's not really serving me. Let's step into something different. So as we wrap up and close out, first of all, is there anything that we didn't get to, or anything that you're called? I know you're like an antenna to hire, to like wisdom. Is there anything you just feel called to share or say that we didn't get to before I have people like, where to find you?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a little mantra. Sometimes I speak spontaneous mantras. I was on a trip last week in Spain, and all this stuff, like good stuff, started happening when I was taking some of my girlfriends around the town. And I just said the words, there is no miracle I don't expect. And so if you are feeling like you need a mantra, this is a good one. There is no miracle I don't expect.
Take that, put it in your pocket, put it in your pipe and smoke it. Lap that up. Talk about snorting something. I'm going to snort that mantra right up my nose, okay? That was a fucking good one. There is no miracle I don't expect. I love that. I love a good mantra that snaps you out of it. I'm like, oh, that just hit me.
Right.
That hit. Mm-hmm. That's a Cardi B mantra. Like, that's not like, that's not in the background. Right. That's not elevator music mantra. That's like, oh my gosh. Okay. So where can people find you? How can people follow up with you if they want more of what I know they're going to want more of, this amazing little amuse-bouche you gave us of yourself today? Yeah.
So I'm on Instagram at Amanda Baudier, Baudier. And Becoming, my new community, is becoming-collective.com. So those are the two best places to find me.
All right. Babies, my baddies, the bad bitches with the good hearts. I hope this conversation left you with something to reignite, reconnect, help you remember. But again, you're here, born right now, on purpose, with a purpose. And that is changing the world, but also shaking your ass and looking good while doing it. So thank you so much to Amanda for coming on today. Go check out her work, follow her work. Truly, I do not co-sign on a lot of people in this world, and I co-sign on this bad bitch.
Right back at you, my sister. Yes.
Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you soon. Do you love getting your Cosmic RX for the week here and want more? Make sure to sign up for our premium subscription so you can get exclusive access to bonus podcast episodes, all of my astrology info for the month ahead, and live new and full moon calls to help you manifest your dream life with an intentional international community of other cosmic baddies. Sign up through our link in show notes. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you want to know more about CosmicRX, head on over to thecosmicrx.com. And if you really love this show, I'd love it if you left a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. I super love hearing from you and reading your reviews. All right, you cosmic baddie, tune in next week. And until then, remember, love yourself fully, work your magic, and take no shit.